than private schools. And everybody wanted to join public schools. But these days, Madam Speaker, everybody wants to go to a private school if they have money. They only go to public schools if they don't have, if their parents cannot afford, Madam Speaker. This is because, Madam Speaker, the way of appointing teachers and the way of training teachers is not proper. Well, I think, Madam Speaker, I cannot speak more on this thing called vice, called corruption. It has embedded our society deep into almost everywhere. You go to education, it is the same thing. You go to health, it is the same thing. You go to roads, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you go to roads. I was asking a contractor in my constituency why he was doing a shoddy job, which was constructing a road which was wearing out and almost creating such big potholes that you could even bury a small child in them, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this contractor told me that, Oburu, you are my friend. So I have to give so much money to so-and-so. I have to give so much money to so-and-so. I have to give so much money to so-and-so. Where do I get it from? We agree that I remove one layer of contract from it, that we agree that we do something about what they call the ears. We do something about the drainage. So that is why these roads get depleted so fast. And they are destroyed very fast, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know that this happens not only with roads, it also happens with health, it happens with all the other departments. And Madam Speaker, I don't want to continue to speak much more than this, but what I want to say, and I can see my friend Honorable Cheriot has come back, and I wanted to talk to him straight and ask him, Senator Cheriot, my friend, what you spoke today impressed me so much, and I would like you to continue. If you could continue, if this thing could be sustained, so that we can continue in this line, being together. Today, when you spoke, I thought I was not going to say anything, because you spoke what we thought should be spoken by a leader from our side. And Madam Speaker, I hope that when an issue arises, we are not going to be held at ransom with the people who are leading our parties, who are leading the government. If we feel strongly that there is something which they are not doing right, we must come up and advise them. If they don't listen, let us not wait for the people to teach us lessons. Let us do it ourselves. Let us do the advice and then even come to the floor of the house and say we have tried to advise, but we are not getting our advice through. So this is not correct, and I didn't even know that, Cheriot, you know some of the things you said here. I thought you people, the way sometimes you even interrupt us from saying anything, I thought that perhaps you didn't know. Particularly Cherargei. I didn't know he knows all these things which he was speaking about here. So Madam Speaker, I want to end there by supporting this motion very strongly, and I hope that the people who are up there, sometimes people speak here, instead of speaking to us, they are actually speaking to the authorities up there. What they want is to, some of them like Tabitha, they are nominated, so they want to be heard that we are defending. But at least you are not nominated to come and defend. You are nominated to come and defend the people of Kenya and defend the interests for which you are nominated. Don't come here to defend system, because what you do here will go on record, and that is what will make you either catapult and go further and further, higher and higher, or go down into the drains. Madam Speaker, thank you, and I support.
Thank you, Senator Oburu. Senator Aaron Cheriot, you sound like a new convert before Senator Oburu. Senator Tabitha Mutin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And let me really start by indicating my support for this particular motion and thanking all the leaders of the House for the good leadership that they've also shown and the steps that they've also taken. Leadership is action. It has also been shown, and we really appreciate as a House. And let me remove the worries from Dr. Oburu. I don't know if you knew I was the one to pick the mic next and to tell him that it's an opportunity for every leader in this country to speak and guide the executive correctly for the betterment of us as a country, as Kenya. We are in this House, we are already here, and we are going to do what is right, what is correct. Let me start by giving my sincere condolences to the fallen souls, not only here in Parliament, but in the different parts of this country. It's been a sad moment, and it's a big lesson to learn. Issues have come from right, left, and center. But let me start with our young, or my young brothers and sisters, that is the Gen Z, and note that how they've done things, it's been a while. I want to tell the parents that school fees was not lost. We can see the kind of kids that we have, a generation that is educationally equipped, well versed with matters national and even international levels. The education system, I applaud you, because the education that you've actually offered to the generation that we have and what we've seen and how we've seen them articulate issues is something to pride in. We are very proud of our children. But I want to guide them further to that, Madam Speaker, and mention to them that Gen Zs, do not let your bar go down. You've set a standard. And when you set a standard, let it be up high as you proceed to make it go higher. What do I mean by this, Madam Speaker? On the day that these demonstrations were last week, you noticed, or we noticed, that by evening, by 5 p.m., Madam Speaker, the Gen Zs were exiting and going back and retreating rather, as part of their well-organized demonstrations, peaceful, a good strategy. But in that evening, sadly, some of the goons that had joined turned to them, so innocently, Gen Zs as they were, and started looting from them. As they organized yesterday, it became evident that the demonstrations were already infiltrated by goons. Goons who've indicated hooliganism, looting. Nairobi has been highly affected. People have lost businesses. People have lost jobs, Madam Speaker. The strategy that Gen Z had is different from what we saw. Madam Speaker, we all remember the case of Kevin, a student, 12 years, who was shot by a stray bullet. Yesterday, as I went back home, Madam Speaker, I witnessed young uniformed school children running away from the tear gas. And it is sad. Then I want to ask the school institutions, we have PTAs, we have board members of schools that could make decisions, as we've seen some private schools made the same, and ask the students to stay at home. Not going to school a day or two it's not a big deal because all of you are not attending the class. We had a COVID whereby people stayed home for 1 year. The security and the safety of our young children comes first. And I want to urge learning institutions, especially the lower learning institutions, even the high schools, especially the day scholars, the board and the PTAs, to make some of these quick decisions to ensure there is much safety. But back to what has brought us to this point. I've heard, and I want to thank the president who said, I'm willing to have dialogue with the Gen Z.